we talk about the knee joint, this is the femur, this is the tibia, and you have two meniscus. So this is the fibula here. You have two meniscus, lateral meniscus and medial meniscus. Now if you see about the shape of the medial and lateral meniscus, the medial meniscus is a C-shaped structure, whereas the lateral meniscus is a circular structure. And both of these meniscus are attached to the bone on the anterior aspect and the posterior aspect, and these are called as the root of the meniscus. So this is the posterior root, this is the anterior root of the medial meniscus, and this is the posterior root and anterior root of the lateral meniscus. Now roots are very important in the meniscus because they hold the meniscus in a particular place. So supposedly if the meniscus is torn from the root, what will happen is the effect is equivalent to what is called as a total meniscectomy. Why? Because if it is avulsed from here, this meniscus will shift outside, and then the bone will touch against the bone. So you will have a bone to bone touching effect, or you will have a start of bone to bone arthritis. So philosophically, if you have a complete root tear of the medial meniscus, the meniscus will extrude out, and this meniscus, which has a normal function of a shock absorber, will not be doing that thing. The shock absorbing function of the meniscus will be lost. So if the shock absorbing function of the meniscus is lost, the effect is equivalent to a total meniscectomy. So what that means is, if you have a patient who suffered with a root tear acutely and he presents to you on an emergency basis, what will be a natural history or a natural prognosis of this particular injury? So if this patient is untreated, if we don't address this problem, then there will be a meniscus extrusion which will increase over a period of time, and the patient will land up into osteoarthritis very fast. So several studies show that the patient who has a complete root tear may require a total knee replacement surgery over a period of 2 to 5 years. Okay. Because there will be a no cushion effect between the two bones, so femur and tibia. So this is very important. Similarly, on the lateral aspect, the effect is less as compared to the medial, but it is still important. Now, lateral meniscus root tears as compared to a medial meniscus root tears are more commonly seen in association with ligamentous injuries. So you will have lateral meniscus root tears more commonly seen with ACL injuries, whereas this medial meniscus root tears will be more likely seen as a solitary injury, typically in patients who are predisposed to arthritis, like patients who are obese, like patients who are typically short statured females. And then you can have two spectrums. You can have a traumatic root tear and you can have a degenerative root tear. So you can have it in a young patient also, and you can have it in a relatively old patient also. Okay. And then conceptually, this root tear leads to extrusion, and extrusion will slowly increase. So now, if this root tear is there, what you should do and what you should explain to the patient, and how will you proceed with the investigation part. So if you suppose clinically the patient will have pain, he may have an episode of trauma, he may not have an episode of trauma. He will have pain on the medial side of the knee, specifically posterior medial side of the knee, and this will be a sort of a middle-aged patient. And mostly in your OPDs, these patients you will send back to home by writing simple painkillers. Most of the places, this is a regular middle-aged patient come to you with almost a normal looking X-ray. You will not even proceed for investigation. You will search just like medication and you will send them home. But ideally, you should have a high suspicion about meniscus root tear in your mind, and you should address these root tears accordingly. So you should have a high index of suspicion. The investigation modality of choice is an MRI scan. And in MRI scan, there are 3 telltale signs for finding a root tear. Most important of that is a ghost sign. So what is ghost sign? So if you have a like this meniscus, the meniscus should be seen like this. If this is not seen like this, the black part, then this is called as a ghost sign. And this will not be seen in this area, where there is a top tear of the root. So this is called as a ghost sign. Then in axials, you may see occasionally that this root is inflamed. And then in coronal sections, you will see that this is the meniscus, this is the black portion of the meniscus. You see this black portion of the meniscus, and this is the white portion. So this root is avulsed, and you will see a white line here, which is suggestive of a root. Now, Laprade classifies root tears into 5 types: grade 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This is for more of theoretical interest, but the important thing in this classification is grade 1 is a partial tear, grade 2 is a complete tear. So if we are talking about a medial meniscus root tear, by definition, the root tear is either you have a tear avulsion, meniscus root avulsion from its bony base, or a radial tear which is within a centimeter of the bony insertion, within 1 centimeter. So the type 2 of the Laprade classification is again classified into 3 types: type 2A, 2B, and 2C, based on the millimeters. So type 2A is within 0 to 3 millimeters, type 2 is 3 to 6, and 3 is C is more than so. Type 2A, type 2B, and type 2C. These are the 3 grades. And so a root tear by definition is a tear here also. If you have a tear here, a radial tear here, then also it is a root tear, because the effect is the same. The functional effect is the same. So even if there is a tear here, there will be same amount of meniscus occlusion, and the patient will end up into osteoarthritis. So the diagnostic modality is MRI scan. You need to prognosticate the patient very nicely, because these things the patient will not be able to understand. There will be such a fast progression of osteoarthritis in this particular injury. So you need to prognosticate the patients very harshly, and then you need to address these injuries. Previously, people used to address these kind of root tears, radial posterior horn root tears with meniscectomies, which is actually devastating, because you are not protecting the knee from the osteoarthritis. So they will not have any advantage, and these procedures do not do well. And that is actually the reason why, if you see the older versions of JAMA, and there are many articles which say that osteoarthritis, arthroscopy has got no protective effects in patients of osteoarthritis. So in olden days, people used to do debridement, meniscectomies here in this area for root tears, and then the patient did not have a recovery. That was actually proven with studies also, and that actually took arthroscopy a bad name. That arthroscopy has no role in prevention of osteoarthritis. You must have heard this statement. Arthroscopy has no role in prevention of osteoarthritis. But it is not so now with understanding of all these things. So if you have a root tear, posterior horn tear which is within a centimeter, radial tear, then we understand that this will lead to extrusion and this will lead to osteoarthritis. Now, can we do something to prevent this osteoarthritis, and can we do something to repair this root back? Now, this procedure is called as a medial meniscus root repair surgery. Now, there are many techniques described. The earliest most technique was using the posterior approach, posterior anchor technique, which was a technique which is not very popular nowadays. Nowadays, what we do, what we recommend is a technique which is more popular, which is called as a transosseous tunnel drilling technique. So with this technique, what we do is we pass multiple sutures here, silk sutures, and then we make tunnels here, and then we tie it over the bone. So this is called as a trans tunnel or trans-tunnel transosseous kind of a repair. This is a very good technique, established technique, more popular technique, but this technique has some technical issues. The problems are, number one, the fixation of the root is far from the root. So this is the root here, but you fix it here. So there is a slack, and what is called as a bungee cord effect can happen sometimes, and you may not have a very good approximation of the root to the bony pad. So what we do is we prepare the bony pad, we pass the sutures, we take a tunnel through a root repair jig and pull it them, and over the transosseous tunnels we tie. So this we can do, but this has got some issues. So to overcome this, a newer technique that we have developed is the root fix anchor technique. And what that essentially means is you make a tunnel, make a small tunnel with a bead pin with a root repair jig, and in that tunnel only you put a all suture anchor. Now this anchor is a root fix anchor. Now root fix anchor is basically nothing but it's an all suture anchor, and the drill size of this particular anchor is 2.4 millimeters, which is equivalent to your bead pin that you use for ACL or a normal ACL or any ligament surgery. So through that bead pin, this is the size for the tunnel of this root fix anchor. The other modification this anchor has is that the suture limbs of this anchor are number 0 as compared to 20. So that makes the knots of this anchor less prominent onto the bone. Okay. So these are the two modifications in the all suture anchor, which makes it a root fix anchor. So what we did is, then we drill the tunnel, we put the anchor here, and when we put the anchor here, then it holds. When you pull, you will try to pull it out, the anchor will not pull out. And then these suture limbs, you have 4 suture limbs, the double loaded suture anchor. So you have 4 suture limbs of number 0 fiber wire. So that can be used to pass sutures through the meniscus, and then you can tie it back on the meniscus. So you have a fixation which is close to the bone. So the anchor will be right here, and here from here you can have the knots like this. So the root will be tied at its origin, close to the origin. So it's sort of a better repair that you can do. Now occasionally, to protect this repair, I also recommend what is called as a meniscus extrusion repair. What actually that is, it's you, because we know that root repair is the cause, but the effect is extrusion, and this extrusion may continue even if after you do the repair. So what we recommend is you put anchors here on the tibia and pass the sutures through the meniscus from here to prevent the extrusion. So they will have a protective effect on the root repair. So this root repair can be protected by doing extrusion repair. So occasionally, if the extrusion is high, if the patient is chronic, if the patient is obese, you can protect your root repair by doing an extrusion repair. By extrusion, in extrusion repair you put anchors here, and then you put sutures through the meniscus, and that is basically the extrusion. So you may put 1 or 2 sutures on the tibial area and do a repair. This is very similar to that of a Bankart repair. You use the Bankart suture passers, and then you take serial sutures and tie it there. What actually this will do is, and by doing this, for doing this, you need to do a little bit of pie crushing of the meniscus. That is a normal procedure. By doing this, if you are correcting the extrusion, what we have seen in our practice is the patient will have about 2 to 3 degrees correction of the varus. Because when there is a root tear, the meniscus will extrude out. So this bone and bone will collide, and the meniscus will come here, out. So the patient will have a development of varus. This is what is called as the early osteoarthritis in our routine practice. So when we do a MCL release and you do a root repair, you do an extrusion repair, there will be a slight correction of this varus, which is also, you can actually see it as compared to the other knee, you will have about 2 to 3 degrees correction of the varus in these patients. So they will have a protective effect. So this meniscus root repair surgery with extrusion repair surgery is something which is promising in those patients who have early onset of osteoarthritis, or who have root tears, and those patients whom we predict that they will land up into osteoarthritis very fast. So these patients need to be weight bearing, non-weight bearing for a period of a month. After that, you can start weight bearing. You can start range of motion early, but usually we delay the weight bearing because we want these points to heal. If you have a point here for the root fix, you need to want this area to heal, and these meniscal extrusion, if they heal back, they will have a very nice or you have a more protected knee, which will be running for more time. So you increase the longevity of the knee by doing these sort of procedures. Okay, any questions?
Sir, but the anchors we use for extrusion repair, same as the anchors or different?
So this extrusion repair, you can use any sort of anchor. You can use any all suture anchor. That is our preference. You can use a single loaded anchor or you can use a double loaded anchor, but you use it in mattress configuration because we want the meniscus to reduce from extrusion. So you put the anchor, then you pass all the sutures in a mattress fashion. Don't tie simple sutures because we want the meniscus to reduce from the extrusion. So these are you can use any all suture anchor, either a single loaded or double loaded, but in a mattress fashion, and ideally with small knots because we don't want the knots to abrade the joint. So don't make the knots bulky. So only 2 or 3 knots, that is more than not more. So low profile knots and regular all suture anchors are usually fine. Any all suture anchor is good enough with the instrumentation.
So let's assume that the patient is in grade 1 osteoarthritis and we have observed the meniscus to be extruded, and then we have decided to bring the meniscus back to the normal place. And if we do this, how many years we can post or delay the?
So this is actually a very new concept. So long-term studies are pending, but the studies which are there do prove that these procedures do increase the longevity of the knee. As far as root repairs are considered, the majority of the studies are with the transosseous tunnel technique. There are very less technical studies with the root fix anchor technique. But majority of the studies are with the trans tunnel technique, and the results are not excellent, but the results are good. So what that means is that these patients do have a painless knee for a longer period of time, and these patients do not need replacement surgeries for 2 to 5 years. Maybe after that they may need it because osteoarthritis is a progressive disorder, but at least in the short term they have a good and a promising results. Because this technique is not an old technique, we don't have a very long-term studies for this particular technique.
Should we suspect these root tears in all the patients with early onset osteoarthritis, or there are specific clinical signs which will guide us to get the MRI done?
Yes, so now because of this reason, the very important understanding that we should have in our mind, should have as an orthopedic surgeon, is can we do something to reduce the osteoarthritis progression, or can we do something to increase the longevity of the knee? So my threshold of doing an MRI is very less, because X-ray will not show these all things that we want to know. X-ray will not show extrusion, X-ray will not show root tears, X-ray will not show other things. So my threshold of prescribing MRI is very less in early osteoarthritis patients who have a traumatic history and who are young. So these patients must have an MRI to look for the correctable causes of early onset of osteoarthritis. So that is very important. So my threshold is low, and you should have ideally a low threshold, because you may have a normal looking MRI, then it is fine. But then if in some patients, if you pick these things, you can actually give more life to the knee in some selected cases. This is basically the understanding that we have developed over time.